You know, the world is watching on standardmedia.co.ke. Hello, Double O, Olivia Otieno here. And this is Double O Direct Woman Host, music by women. Guests are women, women in fashion, women authors. And please do take part in our online poll. The question is, have you this year experienced violence? Have you this year experienced harassment at work? It's on Twitter. Yeah, you can get us on Twitter. It is pinned right there at the top, SpiceFM KE. But if you would rather call, today I'm just going to be bold. I'm just going to be bold like this outfit, this orange outfit that I'm wearing, and I'm going to let you call me, right? If you feel like you want to share, if you feel like you want to testify to something that you experienced, something you witnessed, 0719 012 600. 0719 012 600. Right now, panel discussion. I have experts with me. Let's go around.
Hello everyone, my name is Mary Liz Biuwa, a human rights defender and a black queer feminist from Nairobi, Kenya. I work within the movement working on women's rights, children's rights, and LGBTIQ rights, which is the area that I center myself and I'm here to speak about today. Thank you.
My name is Ongaya Mulobi, and I'm the spokesperson of Campus Me Too. Campus Me Too is a student-led movement that's Pan-African that fights against sexual harassment in higher learning institutions from staff to students.
Hello listeners, my name is Rose Omamo. I'm the General Secretary of Amalgamated Union of Kenya Metal Workers. This is a male-dominated union that represents 10% female and 90% male. We represent workers in automotive, battery manufacturing, and so the nature of metal workers tells you what kind of work we do.
Hi everyone, it's good to be here. My name is Helen Mudora, and I work for an organization known as Social Protection Actors Forum. This is an organization that does a lot of advocacy around issues of social protection, including issues of health insurance, social security, and also working with vulnerable groups, women, children, persons with disabilities.
So who's going to tell me what the ILO Convention 190 actually means? What does it mean? And why do we really want it to be ratified? Why are we so eager for the government to ratify this convention?
Yes, I can tell you that ILO Convention number 190 and its recommendation 206 is a convention on elimination of violence and harassment against men and women in the world of work. It's a wonderful convention. It needs to be ratified because it's a convention that protects workers who work in informal and formal sectors, whether private or public sectors, whether in urban or rural. It protects workers who are domestic workers. It protects workers who undergo gender-based violence and harassment, including sexual harassment at workplaces. So it's a wonderful and a lovely convention that needs to be ratified by our government.
I love that you've said world of work. I've heard of the workplace. I've heard of the office. I want to understand more what the world of work means, especially for you, Mary Liz, because you're an activist. So I don't know if you go to an office regularly. I don't know. What is your world of work like?
My world of work, first of all, as Mary Liz, who is a human rights defender, looks something like pretty much everywhere I am. Because when you look at human rights violations, they happen all the time. So I have to remember all the time to stop being Mary Liz and being that activist who says you can't do that, it's wrong. But also world of work, as Mary Liz, the queer person, looks like, I'm a human being who needs to sustain my daily life. I need to earn an income to be able to do that. And so world of work for me looks like anything that I'm doing either from a perspective of passionate or from qualification as an expert, and being able to be in that place and being able to feel safe. And so that narrows down to, as a queer person who within our constitution, I'm not necessarily a legal person, the kind of challenges I face while I try to look for ways to sustain my life.
Ongaya, are you still in campus?
Yes.
Are you
Postgrad,
postgrad?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And you co-founded Campus Me Too when?
Campus Me Too started in 2019.
Yes.
Yes, when a group of 5 individuals came together and we identified this as an issue.
Yes.
And it ended up being a movement. So it's a movement.
Does Campus Me Too exist outside of Kenya? Do you have like affiliate organizations in other institutions outside of Kenya?
So right now we majorly are in Kenya, but we are expanding to Uganda and Tanzania. That is our prospect. But of course, we've also seen the BBC Sex for Grades in Nigeria, and we're trying to see how do we, reach out to other people in Africa for partnership and collaboration.
So your world of work is?
I'd say, people look at students just as students, but students are also people who are looking for work. Students are job seekers. So you'd find you're still in campus, but you're required to do an internship or an attachment. That is still work. So people don't look at work as internship or attachment, but that's still work. That falls under work. So I'd say even as students are also, they also often find themselves in workspaces.
Something that you haven't said that actually shocks me is that we're only looking at paid work. The work that you do for Campus Me Too, I don't know if you're getting any money for it, but that is also work. So isn't part of your work at campus where you currently are advocating for, a better environment for women and girls in general?
That's still work. And I agree, as you're saying, even unpaid care work, it's still work. Work doesn't have to be remunerated all the time. I think that that's what we are fighting for, even in the feminist space, is trying to say that even, housewives, husbands, that's still work, and it should be treated as, work and actually dignified. It should be dignified.
Question, how can somebody get in touch with Campus Me Too if from any campus in Kenya?
All right. So we do have our website, campusme2.com, and also on social media platforms, all social media platforms, you can get us as Campus Me Too.
Campus Me Too.
Yes.
Thank you. This is SpiceFM. Good morning. I'm Olivia Otieno, and go to SpiceFM KE on Twitter. We're conducting a poll, and can you believe it's 50-50? Yeah. Have you experienced violence or harassment in your world of work this year? 50-50. Really? If you want to call and you want to share, you can also do so. 0719 012 600. 0719 012 600. We have described the world of work as anywhere work takes place. Formal, informal, white collar, blue collar, even if it is unpaid work. Right? We still consider it to be work. I am joined by 4 amazing women. I have Ongaya Mulobi. She's a spokesperson and co-founder for Campus Me Too. I have Rose Omamo, General Secretary of the Amalgamated Union of Kenyan Metal Workers. I have Mary Liz Buibwa. She's a queer intersectional feminist. And Helen Mudora, National Coordinator, SPAF Kenya. Now, Helen, you said that you wanted to say something with regards to the world of work and the Ilo Convention 190.
Sure. I wanted to add that the convention actually makes the working place it's broader. It gives it a broader meaning.
Yes.
For example, when you're moving from home to work, even that is considered workplace.
Yes.
Because when you take a matatu, between your home and your workplace, you're likely to face violence. And you know how it escalates in a matatu? Maybe they say it's 20 bob, and when you get in, it changes to 50
this
bob.
This morning with the rain.
Yes, it changes to 100.
Let's just be honest. Yes.
Yes. And you can imagine by the time you get to work, you're not the same person. You faced violence on the way to work.
Yes.
It also expands to mean that third parties, you walk into a supermarket, you go to a hotel, you go to a hospital,
yes,
you're likely to get abused in that place of work.
Yes.
So it doesn't just limit it to your desk or the place you work, but all these movements that we have to make to get to our place of work affects our productivity.
True, true.
And we've also talked about the informal sector, the mama mboga out there, the person selling tomatoes. All these spaces are workplaces, and therefore we need to protect men and women.
I want to now define violence vis-a-vis harassment so that we can understand and distinguish between the two and their various forms. So I'm going to go to you, Rose. How can we talk about violence? How do we describe violence in this case?
Yes, and let me refer you to Convention 190
yes,
and its recommendation 260.
Yes.
We have one definition for violence and harassment.
Yes.
And this definition is unacceptable behavior arising out of work or in the process of work or in the rest place where you are,
Yes.
whether you are commuting from workplace to your home or from your home to workplace, it's a range of unacceptable behavior. That is why we fought for a single definition, because we thought that if we have different definitions, the two can occur at the same time.
Yes.
And how then will we be able to handle it? So we gave it a single definition of a range of unacceptable behavior.
And who says what is vis-a-vis what is not acceptable?
What is acceptable is what you as a person feel is good for you and you welcome.
Yes.
But anything that is not good for you and that you do not welcome is unacceptable.
Let me tell you, I've experienced some violence this morning. I'm going to get into that. Mary Liz, tell me what you wanted to say.
Yeah, in terms of acceptable versus not acceptable,
Yes.
it's essentially from the point where I'll give a scenario. You are at a workplace and you have a working colleague that you like. It's only acceptable to tell them you like. Beyond there, whatever it is you do, if
I like
they
most of my colleagues. What do you mean?
no, now in this case we are speaking about, for example, let me also be more specific. In a case of sexual harassment, for example,
Yes.
if I tell my co-worker that I like them, there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
But if my co-worker tells me I don't feel the same, and I'd please ask for you to stop saying that.
Yes.
From there on out, anything I do as Mary Liz becomes harassment.
Okay.
Because they've already said they're not interested. They've already said they don't receive that. So unacceptable is really personal, because what I consider personal might not be personal to another person.
Okay.
If I like the person who is trying to hit on both of us, I might be accepting of that, but the other person might not be accepting of that. So really acceptable is personal, but the convention tries to bridge the gap between my personal acceptable and how laws can intervene if it's not
Ongaya,
personally
you
acceptable.
are itching to add to that. Please go ahead.
No, I really agree with what Mary Liz is saying, that, you know, for harassment, it's any unacceptable, and it varies from one person to the other, really. Yeah, I think she's really articulated really well.
Shouldn't we be going through our HR to get some guidance on policies and structures? Because sometimes if it's imbalance of power, it can get a little bit tricky. I'm going to go back to you, Rose.
Yes, we can encourage our HRs to have policies, but having policy and implementing policies are two different things.
Yes.
You may have a sexual harassment policy, but you still condone sexual harassment at the workplace, because there are times that you may have a video which you feel is good for you, but I don't like it as a person.
Yes.
So why should you show me this video that I don't like? It is an harassment to me. So having policies that are put in place and implementing these policies are two different things. And what we encourage and what we advocate for is the implementation in full of these policies that we have at workplaces that are anti-sexual harassment, because we want to promote a workplace that is free from violence and harassment.
I want to add on, now at work, especially with this digital environment, we have so many WhatsApp groups, right?
Yes.
And more often than not, these are platforms for harassment. And what you mentioned just now, please stop sharing videos and images in these groups, because we open them innocently thinking it is work related.
Yes.
Please just share those videos and those photos with your friends directly. Do not put them in groups. I know that Helen, you wanted to add something after I spoke to Ongaya earlier. Tell me.
I think the most important thing is sometimes it's also very subtle. You know, this violence, it doesn't have to be always like intimidation or physical.
Yes.
You a lot of those who grew up at my time, many years ago.
I'm also
I know there was this thing that you greet somebody, especially now if you're a woman and you greet a man, and he does something
Do you
like
know-
this
do
to.
you know-
I don't know if that still happens.
one of the things that I'm grateful to COVID-19 is that I can now shun people from my personal space.
Yes.
It is a terrible, terrible disease. It is a horrible global pandemic. Lakini, I am finally able to stop handshaking.
Yes.
All right.
So somebody just does something,
Yeah.
and you feel so offended,
Yes.
but yet nobody can see what has happened between you. I mean, no, even if it's in the office, nobody has noticed that there's violence that has gone on.
That has occurred.
Yes, it's just too subtle. So we have to be aware of it, and we have to be quick to say stop. you can't do this.
Yes.
You have to call it out.
Yes.
So a lot of times we go feeling uneasy about it,
Yes.
but then we just leave it, and it goes on and on.
More often than not, I will call them victims for now, feel that they will not get the necessary support. They feel that no one will believe me. They feel that I'll become labeled a troublemaker. They don't use their voice. On top of that, when people witness these events, they keep quiet. So what can be done? I want to find out, because it's enough to say that we have this problem, we have this problem, we have this problem, right? But what can we actually do about it? How can we actually stop GBV?
We can only stop GBV if we speak out.
Yes.
Remember, the victims of GBV are not only female.
Mm-hmm.
There are men who undergo sexual harassment. And when they try to share with their fellow men, they are told, are you a woman? Why should you even say this?
I asked a man recently, I said, have you experienced sexual harassment? And he asked me, was that text for me? And I thought, okay. So clearly what you're saying, Rose, is actually very correct, because there's now a perception, there's a mindset, that men do not experience sexual harassment or gender-based violence, and they do.
They do.
So speaking out, firstly, amongst ourselves as women, also allowing for men to speak out against the violence that they're facing.
Oh, yeah. And it should also be noticed that gender-based violence is not part of the job. So if we are working together, give me my space to do my work.
Yes.
Don't just bring your behavior that you feel is good for me when I don't welcome.
Yes.
And we must speak. We must do campaigns. We must lobby for the ratification of Convention 190 so that we can eliminate violence and harassment. Look at what happens when we go to board matatus.
Yes.
You find a man who grabs you and tells you this matatu is going. Why do you grab me?
Yeah.
I left my house knowing where I'm going.
Yes.
So why should you in the first place even grab my hand
Yes.
and lead me to where I'm going?
Yes.
This nonsense should stop. People should live in a world of work free from violence and harassment.
Ongaya, what is going on campus right now?
So there's something that you said earlier, and I wanted to just add on to that. I think we need to create more awareness. The thing is, we think that people know what harassment is and what it entails, but some people actually don't know what harassment is all about. When we were starting the movement of Campus Me Too in the campuses, most of the people didn't even know that certain comments, remarks, even the lecturer asking you things like, "Are you in a relationship?" Those are certain personal things that you really it's not part of the job, it's not part of the class and the lectures. So I think people don't understand what sexual harassment is all about. So I think first, one thing we need to do is create awareness. What constitutes of sexual harassment? And then from there, create a safe space for victims to even come out and speak up.
What about a situation where at the beginning it was okay, but now it's not okay? Because let's be honest, we're all human beings. We're not perfect. And sometimes you're flattered. You get some attention and you're flattered by it. So you smile and you say thank you and you enjoy it. People then want to know, right? At what point can you then come up and say, actually, now imetosha. Yeah, I think you've gone overboard. I think now you're misunderstanding. I think now you're taking advantage, right? Yes, I was flattered when you bought me flowers. Yes, I was flattered when it was raining and you gave me a ride to the bus stop or to wherever. Yeah, but I don't want to go beyond that. How can we give people more of a voice to say that and to express that?
I think especially women need to be very, how we engage with people, we have to be very careful about some of the signals that we may be sending.
Yes.
We should not encourage it to go on for too long. And that's why I'm saying the moment you're uncomfortable, you should be able to call it out. You just say, no, you know what you do to me, I don't like it. Now, we have laws.
Yes.
That, even Sexual Offences Act can say that if this happens, then this person will be penalized this. But they say there's need for proof.
Do not delete anything. Take screenshots of everything. I'm not saying he's right.
Yeah.
Sonko.
No, but again, what I'm saying, sometimes let's say like that gesture, the hand gesture.
Yeah.
How are you going to, what evidence are you going to have about it? So also the law needs to respond to how things are happening.
Yes.
And how we relate.
Yes.
And so that it reflects the current situation. That there are things that can happen to me that are not visible that I may not come out. It's your word against mine.
Okay, Mary Liz, what do you have to say?
I think for me, especially regarding the question you had asked about what is the solution, I think for me, mostly, we have to identify, first of all, what the law has. In Article 28 of the Constitution and under Section 6 of, Employment Act,
yes,
it says an organization is obliged to have a policy against violence when it has more than 20 employees. Mm-hmm. Already that is a loophole, because what happens if there's 2 employees who are going through harassment?
Exactly.
The law literally removes itself from helping these people. And so that becomes problematic in terms of dealing with
What
it.
if you're self-employed?
Yes, what
and
if you're
someone else
self-employed
harasses
and
you
someone comes and harasses you? But also, while you're looking at that, also I think one of the other things I want to highlight is the concept of gender, roaming around the binaries, men and women.
Yes.
This way we lock out transgender people. This way we lock out intersex people.
Yes.
This way we lock out non-binary people like myself, who in a world of work, I'm supposed to behave a certain type of way because the society is cultured to think of men and women.
So what are your pronouns?
My pronouns are she, they.
She, they.
Yes.
Okay.
And so because of that, it becomes really difficult. Already a constitution that criminalizes me. Already binaries that, don't recognize my existence.
Yes.
So when I report that someone has violated me, a lot of excuses will come up. For example, you'll be told, you're a lesbian, we want to make you understand how it is to like men as a woman and all that kind of stuff. And I don't have anywhere to go to seek protection.
Yes.
But also outside of that, there's the perspective of believability, which is what we've always been speaking about when we're talking about gender-based violence.
Yes.
Most of the time, men and women and people women and people outside the binaries and people who go through any kind of sexual harassment and violence, they don't get to be believed. And it narrows down to where you're working at. What if the person who is your boss is the one that is violating you? Why
What
would
if the
you
person
want?
who's supposed
who
to give
would
you
you
justice?
report to? Yet he will use that same policy that they created that has a lot of loopholes to victimize you even further, as opposed to helping you. So there's a lot that as individuals we need to do, but the bigger work lies with organization. The government obliging organizations, and that's why we are saying ratify ILO C-190, because when you ratify ILO C-190, it will put the obligation on the government to call on organizations, institutions, anywhere that people are working, be it on the roadside. People are centered by the convention, and the centering is obliging the government to be able to come up with laws, policies that protect people regardless of where they are, regardless of the time they are working, regardless of the work they do, regardless of the gender and binaries in which they come in. Thank you.
Also streaming worldwide, standardmedia.co.ke. I am Olivia Otieno. The show is 00 Direct 0719 012 600. I know, it's a mouthful. 0719 012 600. If you want to call and share a story, yours or one you witnessed, of harassment, of violence in the world of work, in your world of work. Yeah, you can always reach me on that way. Or you can post on Twitter, SpiceFMKE, Facebook, SpiceFMKE, Instagram, SpiceFMKE. I am with 4 amazing women, Ongaya, Rose, Helen, and Mary Liz. And what I want to know, ladies, right now is actual incidents and actual outcomes. Right? Actual incidents and actual outcomes. I'm going to start this time with Ongaya. She is a spokesperson, co-founder of Campus Me Too. What is this experience you want to share?
So it's very sad what happens in the campus setting. And we've had cases of students not graduating, getting missing marks. And this cuts across board because, we've collected so many testimonials from students. And the saddest part of all this is that nothing was done about it, because by the time someone is speaking about it, it is too late. There is no evidence whatsoever. And so it becomes very difficult to quantify the case. And so at the end of the day, they're losing out on their time.
Stop. I want you to start again. I want to say, and we can call her, Grace, right? But I want specifics, right? Grace is in X campus, right? Grace has not graduated. What happened to Grace?
All right. Okay. So let's go with Joy.
Okay. Joy in my heart. All right.
All right. Let's go with Joy. Should I mention the universities as well?
No, you can
Okay.
just keep it. Make up a university.
All right. Okay. So Joy is 21 years old. She is in Timbuktu University. When she joined the university, she was 17 years old. And she had just joined the university after doing an institutional transfer from one university to this one to pursue the course that she wanted to do.
Yes.
So by the time she was joining the university, it was way later than her her fellow students, let's say 1 month later. And so when she wanted to get notes, for what these other people have been able to cover, she got involved with this particular lecturer who said, for me to give you notes. It started as, I just want to mentor you and help you in the journey. But then with time, she realized, there's something else this particular lecturer wants. It escalated to, we have to go outside.
Wait a minute.
Weekend.
Is Joy still 17? Because that's child abuse.
At that time when she was joining campus, yes, she was 17.
At the time she's interacting with this lecturer.
Yes.
Okay, so firstly, we have several things going on with
Yes.
Joy.
Yes.
It's not just sexual harassment in her world of work, which is campus. It is also that she is underage. Okay?
Yes. So that happened, and by the time she realized, she what you're saying, it had gone so far, and she realized, no, this is uncomfortable for me. I don't want to engage anymore. She didn't have anyone to speak to, so she dropped out of school. Yes.
Wow. Okay. Helen?
We did a survey
Yes.
as the feminism working group because we are trying to, promote the ratification of Convention 190.
Yes.
And therefore, we just did case studies, as a research in terms of case studies. And one thing that came out, for example, when we were talking to a lady who sells tea. You see, that is now her place of work.
Yes.
And you see that a lot, yeah? They move
The
around
tea,
with this,
the thermoses
with the
and the
thermos
mandazis.
and cups,
Yes.
yeah? So, there's that cat calling. Sometimes people touch you inappropriately as you serve them.
Yes.
Now, these are your clients. You don't know whether to be so annoyed and what that would mean for your income or just to keep quiet
Yes.
and let that go on. Now, unfortunately for, violence in the workplace or in our places of work is that a lot of people did not see it as violence or harassment.
It definitely is violence and harassment.
She says, we think it's normal. It's just how things are. It's just, our marafiki zetu. We joke around with
And
them.
people always say, welcome to, then fill in the organization.
Yeah.
If you experience violence harassment, they're like, welcome to
Karibu.
Kenya, Karibu Kenya, Karibu,
Yes.
wherever limited.
Yeah, so we realized there's a lot of awareness that has to happen first to make people realize that this is actually harassment.
Let's be honest, ladies, right? In our heart of hearts, we know it is wrong. We know it is violence. The issue here isn't that is it or is it not violence? Do we or do we not know it is violence? The issue is what can we do about it? Because at the end of the day, if there's nothing you can do about it, unasema kwa nini? Right? You'll just be letting people know that you were raped, letting people know that you were harassed, letting people know that you were violated, and then, Mary Liz.
I think for me, I will speak about an incident that happened. And of course, disclaimer, this is information that I've already even shared in public, social media sites of mine.
Yes.
It's something that I've already reported, so I'm not committing any crime by saying the experience.
Yes.
And we were working under, Bridges of Love Alliance. It's an alliance we created together with Global Platform and Action Aid. And we were working with some religious leaders, and the concept was to bridge the gap between the violence queer people experience versus how religion contributes and how can we make religion become a safe space for LGBTQ persons.
Yes.
And so going with this program we started around 2018. Between 2018 and 2020, there was a lot of sexual harassment that was happening. Personally, being a victim of that as well, I remember the conversation was around a pastor. His name is called Pastor Msembi, and he knows I call out his name everywhere I go. Pastor Msembi would tell me something along the lines of, Mary Liz, wewe ni mrembo sana. If I find you by yourself, I don't know the things that I'll do to you. It started with he will say hi, he'll get really cozy when he's hugging me, and I told him whenever you see me anywhere, please do not say hi to me, do not hug me.
Yes.
I'm no longer welcoming all that. outside of that, at the time I was foreseeing the running of events of the alliance, and I would report to the persons at the global platform who are working in collaboration with Action Aid Kenya to be able to see what can be done. But between 2018 and 2020, nothing was done. I reported my case. For other people in the alliance who are LGBTQ persons reported their cases. Nothing was done about it.
Did you have any evidence?
We had evidence that we even presented.
What evidence did you have?
There was one. It's a conversation that one of the ladies who is a lesbian and has a child.
Yes.
She recorded one of the pastors telling her, "You're a lesbian. How do you have a child? Do you know any other lesbians that you can direct to me so that I can impregnate them?"
Okay.
And conversations like that. So when we reported and something was supposed to be done, nothing was done. It is until 2020 in November, it's now a year, that I went on Twitter because I was read that people were still doing activities. People were still running as if everything is okay. In fact, I remember receiving a text being told, we have funding for the alliance and we are trying to see what programs we can do. And I remember asking them again, why do you want to run programs with people who are in an unsafe environment?
Yes.
Are you saying you're not going to do anything about it?
Yes.
Nothing was done. That's when I did a Twitter thread and highlighted everything. Immediately I did a Twitter thread. Even some people who work at Action Aid, who I was supposed to consider friends, reached out, started calling me, and I said I'm not picking any calls because I don't want to speak to anyone.
Yes.
I just wanted to do the thread, and if I die today, I just want to know that I highlighted this and I did something about it.
Yes.
And then Action Aid started reaching out, including Action Aid International. And trust you me, between 2020 until today, it's only last week I signed the document of me giving an account of the events. Not only have they put us through incidents of reliving the experiences, not only has one of the pastors died. Imagine a pastor dying. You see online everyone highlighting how he is a good man, but he is a person who harassed several people within the alliance who are queer people, and you don't know how to go about it. But also the stalling, the taking time, the not caring so much to do anything.
Is Action Aid an organization that considers itself a Christian organization?
No, it's an organization that considers itself a women's rights organization.
The irony. Okay, continue.
The irony, exactly. And so for me, that was my problem, because Action Aid is an organization I've been affiliated with since 2015. I know the ins and outs. I know the policies that guide the work that they do and all that. So for me, when that began happening, first of all, I was baffled, but I was like, then also it's pastors, so maybe they don't have responsibility.
Yes.
But me reporting every time an incident happened, whether it was to me or to my colleagues who were working together,
Yes.
it was received with, we will do something about it. When you ask, you'll be told, we talked to the pastors. You talked to the pastors. Did you bring us on board? Did you allow us to highlight the things that are happening and all that? But nothing was done. All I kept on seeing was different employees being moved from one docket to another.
That happens a lot.
Transferred from here to
Yes.
there to there, so that we keep on having new people who know nothing, and we are put through reliving the experience over and over and over again.
What has been now the outcome, other than the fact that you have formally registered your complaint?
Sadly, now the only thing that has happened is they've done several interviews with people who are affected. But until now, we don't know what's going on, because there's no that open-ended communication where we say, we took your interviews, we finished on this day, because I took my interview in August.
Yes.
And it's only last week that I signed the document.
What would justice look like for you?
Justice would, one, look like Action Aid holding to account all these pastors, because these are pastors we know. Holding into account here means filing a formal report with the police and saying all these things happened, and holding us as witnesses. That's one. Two, Action Aid going back to the drawing board. They work for women. Have they identified? It's not us who went to them and told them, we want you to work with LGBTQ people. They wanted to do that, and they approached us.
So creating a safe environment.
Yes, while you approach us, are you considering the kind of violence we can go through, and how do you plan to protect us?
Yes.
To go back to the drawing board and write that. But also the third thing, and I think the most important thing, every time we go through any kind of violence, there's trauma associated to it.
Yes.
They should be the ones to foresee therapy, which of course they've already been let by almost 3 years now.
Yes.
To foresee cost of therapy, to foresee the well-being of these people, until a time where through these people and through psychotherapists and psychologists who are working with them, actually verifying, yes, we've walked the journey, and these people are well on healing, on the healing
I can
process.
see, Mary Liz, that you're truly, truly affected and currently experiencing a lot of pain. Rosa Mama, you had your hand up?
Yes, I want to share from the worker perspective.
Yes.
Because there is a company that we represent workers in.
Yes.
Who the employees are our members. And so in this company was a manager who had a secretary, and this secretary was also doing sales at the same time for that particular company. Then all of a sudden, this manager now start texting this girl and telling her, I want to meet you. This girl says, I don't have time. Then all of a sudden, he comes and tells this lady, I want to marry you. And I mean, this lady says, how do you marry me? You're not my friend. I don't love you. How then can you marry me? Then he starts frustrating this lady, changing him from where she was doing sales to reception. And, just telling her point blank, if you cannot allow me to be your husband, then I will fire you. So this lady calls me and she tells me, my dear GS, this is the frustrations that I'm facing at my place of work. I took an initiative to write to the managing director of that company and asked him to investigate and to respond to me in 7 days the action that he is taking on that.
Yes.
Lucky enough,
Yes.
this girl had the text messages,
Yes.
and there was real proof that
Yes.
this manager is truly harassing her.
Yes.
At their level with the shop stewards and the workers' representatives at the shop floor,
Yes.
they were able to identify a case of sexual harassment, pure sexual harassment. Then the manager was still denying, and I mean, these are text messages.
Yes, from his phone. That
From
can be
his
proved.
phone,
Yes.
and from the lady's phone.
Yes.
From you to me.
Yes.
So this was pure sexual harassment case. Fortunately enough, the managing director took an initiative to fire this manager. And we were ready to go to court if this lady would have wanted us to follow it to the latter.
You see, that's
Because
what I
it
like to
was
see.
a
I like
pure
to see.
case.
I like to see the fact that there's been resolution of an incident and that there are channels for those incidences to be resolved. I know, Helen, you want to say something. Can you be really quick about your point?
Okay, I was going to say that there are about four things or four stages that can happen.
Yes.
One, at an individual level, we have to empower people to be able to report. And a lot of times our policies even say document, like there's a way in which you have to document this incidents. But then even as you document, like Mary-Liz has said, you have to be careful not to cause any harm to this person who is reporting. Issues of confidentiality have to be managed. And then we have the community around us. Sometimes you don't even report because
Watakuwa.
it can be you are reporting somebody who then will be fired,
Yes.
and then the family. So there's a lot of hostility around you.
Yes.
So you fear to report because of
Yes.
that. So we must, as a country, also find this discussion on and on and on, so that people are able to come out.
Because that man, he had a family.
Yeah.
He had people who were depending on him.
Of course.
Right? But still, that is the bed that he made.
Yeah.
So he should lie in it.
Olivia, in the media sector where you work,
Yes.
there are a lot of violations that go on.
Indeed.
Only last year I've seen a lot of surveys and research coming out about how sexual harassment happens in newsrooms and in media. You want to be a star, you want to be a celebrity, you come as an intern, and then you are harassed, but you have to keep up with it in the hope that now you will get on TV or on radio or something.
It is a terrible, terrible, terrible thing that is happening. I've been in media now 25 years. My goodness. I've been in media now 25 years, and I've been fortunate, to experience, I don't know, maybe it's my face. Maybe my face just says, please.
Keep off.
I just don't know. Maybe it's my face, but primarily I've been very, very sheltered from that. But I know of all the incidents. And what I want to talk about coming back, what can we do? Who can we go to? Because we'll talk about all the incidents. We all have stories of harassment and violence, right? But I want to know, what can we do? How can we get action? And also, how can we empower to have these women get a stronger voice? For you, this very wet and wild, honestly, Saturday morning. I am Olivia Otieno, and there's so many things that we could talk about. There's so many things that we could highlight. But we are on day 3 of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, and that's why I am in orange. Today online, have you experienced violence? Have you experienced harassment in your working world, wherever that is? You can be anonymous, and unfortunately, the yeses have overtaken the nos in the last hour. But if you want to share your experience verbally, you can always call 0719-012-600. 0719-012-600. I have a comment from our Facebook page where we're also conducting the poll. And the comment reads, following the conversation keenly, I think there are some harassment that are hard to back up with evidence. For instance, when one looks at you in a manner that makes you feel harassed, how do you provide evidence in such a situation? I like the handshake example by Helen. Anyway, sheria zetu zinapengo bado. And I'm told that means that there is still a gap. Right? Yeah. And we need to have such talks oftenly. That is the comment. So I want to start again to ask about real solutions, right? To those who are undergoing this form of abuse. What can you actually do, Helen?
First of all, we need to empower our girls when they are very young.
Yes.
I didn't give you the example. When I was in high school, I remember I was in Form 6. So a teacher says that when he's on duty, he calls me to the staff room and then he says, I want to give you a leave out.
Okay. What is that?
A permission sheet.
To leave.
To leave the school.
Were you in boarding school?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And then we meet in town somewhere in a lodging. I had never been to a lodging before or anything. I didn't go. I botched the whole thing and I just told him I can't do that, So
did you know, were you aware of what the implications were, what it was actually saying?
Yeah, and then what happened is, because I refused to go, on Monday, the following week, I was given punishment. I was on punishment for the whole week. And deep within me, I knew I'm being punished, not because of anything that I've done wrong, but I'm being punished because I refused to go.
What was the excuse to give you the punishment?
So I was a prefect of the school compound, making the school compound clean. So one day he walks and finds leaves all around, and then he decides that now I would have to be doing that every evening because I didn't make the people who are working under me to do.
Okay.
But I knew deep down. So I wish I was empowered at that point either to seek support from the other teachers or from the headmistress. I didn't do it.
Yes.
And somebody told me, now, you should have let him give you the slip so that now it becomes evidence that he was actually, doing this. But our girls are not empowered.
One thing I always advocate, have them send an email, have them send a text, have them send some sort of physical evidence. Never take any verbal communication. Say, oh, can you send an email?
Yeah.
Oh, can you just text me on that?
Yeah.
Oh, can you just WhatsApp me? Immediately. And now what people are doing, a lot of these social media apps or these messaging apps have a timer set on them. Often I get these timer messages. I am so quick. Yeah. The minute I open it, I take a screenshot.
Okay.
I don't care if it's a picture of a puppy, or a child eating ice cream. There is going to be a screenshot.
Yeah.
Right? So I would advise anybody in any sort of communication for work, take a screenshot, record. By the way, is it legal to record a phone call?
Yes, it is.
Wait, who said yes?
I did.
No,
It's
Mary
not.
Liz.
You need permission to record.
No, it's
Yeah.
You need permission
So
to
you
record.
need permission to record.
Yeah.
So if somebody calls me,
Yes.
so if somebody calls me
Yeah.
and they're verbally harassing me with whatever it is they're saying, how do I give evidence of that harassment?
You can do a recording,
Yes.
but remember, with this recording, if this person goes to court and says he or she recorded me without permission, it will be a court battle.
What I'm gonna do from now on, that hello tune. My hello tune will be, this call
Will
may
be
be
recorded.
recorded. I am now going to record a hello tune that says, thank you for calling Olivia Otieno. This call may be recorded for quality and what
Yes.
purposes?
Just
And
quality.
legal.
And it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Right now, my phone has that phone recording feature.
Yeah, I have
so
it too.
sometimes when I call someone and I press it by mistake,
Yeah,
it
it
actually
record.
notifies the other person. This call is now being recorded.
Yes.
So I'm like, I'm so sorry, I stop it. So it's very difficult for you to record secretly. Yeah.
For me, I think what I want to say,
Yes, Mary Liz.
recording a phone call is not a crime. Here is the setting. If it's in a work setting, you have to let the people you're working with while you're recording, and for that reason. But this is my phone. This is a personal gadget, right? Someone has been harassing me as Mary Liz. And we have media laws for that. Someone has been harassing me. The only way I can prove that this person has been harassing me and they've not been sending texts or anything, they just called, is if the court, if police will take my case, give me an OB number that will oblige companies like Safaricom, Airtel, whatever line I use to release that information. But as an individual, if this harassment has been happening and I know this person has been doing it, I do get to have a right to use it. The problem becomes when I record you on my call, I'm not allowed to use this thing against you unless it's for legal purposes. So I can record and then report and say this is what you're doing. But
Pause.
you're allowed to
We have a
record.
caller. Let's hear what they have to say. I don't usually take calls, but today I said I would. Hello? Yes?
Yeah, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Who am I speaking to?
Tina speaking to, calling from Mombasa.
Otieno from Mombasa.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me, what do you have to say today?
No, I've been following on the conversation.
You're very low. Can you get closer to your phone or don't use hands-free? Just get closer and speak up.
I'm saying I've been following the conversation.
Yes.
And deeply there's so much thing that we need to understand on the issue of the harassment, sexual harassment, and the issue of the stigma related issues. Now, the issue of sympathy on the offender. There are also issue of disclosure of the information to the right authority.
Do you have an experience with the harassment or violence that you want to talk about in your world of work, or have you experienced somebody having that kind of?
I have a close person who has experienced
A woman or a man?
A woman.
And what did she go through?
And this was a family-related person. Now, it happened way back.
What happened? What did she experience?
Yeah, she was sexually harassed and she was actually raped by a close family.
Wait, are we talking about her at work, or was she raped by a family member outside of work?
Outside of work.
Okay, sorry, Otieno, let me just tell you one thing. Today we're talking about violence and harassment in the world of work. So while what happened to the person you know is very, very terrible and traumatic, that is not what we're discussing today. Do you have an experience of someone who had an issue in the workplace or in their world of work?
Okay, of a work-related person, I won't say that I have one, but
okay, but thank you for calling. We really appreciate that. Yes, Helen.
I was going to say that there's relevance to the extent that, especially with COVID-19, our homes became our workplaces. Like
that I understand, Helen. I'm not negating the fact that something terrible happened, right? Yeah. But she was raped by a family member in a non-work setting.
Yeah.
If I'm raped by a family member at home, right?
Yeah.
It is terrible. Yeah. But what relation is it to my world of work? What we can say is that there's a toxic environment where I work.
Yeah.
Because I'm having to work from home and I'm having abuse cases. Mm-hmm. But that person, it's not really work related.
Yeah.
It just happens to be that abuse would have been happening anyway, whether or not I was working from home or not.
Yeah, but because they have called and they need help or they need information, one usually is, there's this government number 1195 where you can call.
It's free?
It's free, toll-free number where you can call to report, and then they give you assistance in terms of counseling or referral in terms of what process you want to take.
Good.
So it's good for them to know whether, if we are talking about work-related, but sometimes you could be in that situation.
True.
And so if you call 1195, that is the government system which can support the person if the person hasn't received any help so far.
Thank you. Any other incidences, Mary Liz?
To add on that, there's also Usikimye. Usikimye is an organization that came up 2019, but they've been doing an amazing work in terms of responding to any cases of gender-based violence. Their contact is 0800 00999.
Okay.
0800 000 999.
And what is the organization called?
The organization is called Usikimye. It can be found on all social media platforms under the name Usikimye as well.
Spell that, please.
Usikimye, USIKIMYA.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mary Liz. I must wrap up with my guests. I've been joined by Ongaya Mulobi, spokesperson and co-founder Campus Me Too, Rosa Mamo, General Secretary of the Amalgamated Union of Kenyan Metal Workers, Helen Mudora, National Coordinator, SPAF Kenya, and Mary Liz Bwiba, an intersectional queer feminist. And it has been an absolutely powerful conversation. Now, what I want to know, ladies, right now, the help that is out there and how to get that help. the contacts, the help that is out there, and how to get that help, how to contact these people in our world of work who can help us, right? When we experience violence, when we experience harassment in our world of work. You know, when I posted on my social media asking if anyone is, I got colleagues tell me yes. I got former colleagues tell me yes. And I was only asking about this year. I'm not asking about your whole working history. This year, people are experiencing violence. They are experiencing harassment. So I'm going to ask you, Ongaya, what is the help that's out there and how can people get in touch?
So I just reiterate, campusme2.com. Check out the website. There's a lot of help. There's a lot of material on what to do, on how to prevent, and how to even collect evidence safely, and how to report.
One thing you've not told me is of a case where a campus student has actually gotten help and what has been the outcome. Are there any of those cases? These people report and then?
I must say that there is a gap in terms of reporting structures.
Okay.
So people don't even know where to report. In fact, there are campuses
Let's
that don't
Let's pause. What I'm asking is a case of someone who's come to Campus Me Too and said, I have been harassed or I have been violated. Have you had those?
Yes.
Okay. What has been the outcome from them reporting to you that they have had that experience?
Unfortunately, most of the time when they're reporting, it's too late. We cannot seek help in terms of reporting and getting legal action taken against the perpetrators.
So what advice are you telling people right now? I experienced something with my lecturer yesterday, right? I didn't go immediately because I was scared, but now I woke up with Saturday and I'm listening to Double O and she's like, yes, go and get help. What should they bring to you? What should they tell you?
Of course, when they do speak to us, then we are able to follow the particular university, depending on the university,
yes,
and see what reporting structures are in place and follow up with the case.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Fantastic. Tell me, Rose Amamo.
Yes, there is a gender desk at COTU, Central Organization of Trade Unions. We also have a women's department that deals with women issues. When you are sexually harassed or you have experienced any kind of gender-based violence, you can reach us at kotu-kenya.org. We have a lawyer that will represent you for free.
Do you have to be a member of the union?
No, not necessarily a member of the union. A worker for us is a worker, whether a member of the union or you are not a member of the union, whether you are in informal sector or informal sector. We will represent you. We will make sure that we take up your case and to the latter.
Thank you very much. Mary Liz Bwiwa, tell me.
I think for me, I'll begin by saying, first of all, we have an organization called National Gay and Lesbian Human Rights Commission.
Yes.
Their website is
Is it illegal to be a lesbian in Kenya?
To be a lesbian, it's not illegal. To you're a human being. It's like you're a woman, right?
Okay.
You don't just stop there. Okay. Then you have to interact with people, you have to socialize, you have to work, you have to start a family, you have to do all this.
It's the
So
discrimination.
yes, the discrimination that comes when I want to seek healthcare services and I get to be violated because I'm doing that is the problems with when I'm at my place of work, and yes, I'm not supposed to go to my boss and tell them I'm a lesbian, you have to accept me. But essentially, as Mary Liz, I can't live my life living behind or not living another part of my life. I can't also live that part hiding it. And so the ability of queer people to be able to live their life to the fullness of their capacity.
Your best life.
Yes, your best life. You can't do that because you have to hide some parts, either from your family, either from your place of work, either from your colleagues, like from many people. And that's how there's breeding of environment for violence, because then if you can't tell people you're a lesbian because you'll be harassed because of that, then you'll be harassed because people want to know you're a lesbian. And so it's a catch-22. Do you come out? Do you not come out? If you come out, will it be received well?
Nobody's business but your own. Okay, sorry, Mary, let's continue. You're giving us some facts and some contacts.
And so because of all that, it becomes really difficult. And so, like I was saying, we have www.nglhrc.com. That is National Gay and Lesbian Human Rights Commission. And what they do is they do litigation in terms of legal representation of queer people in terms of any cases. But also outside of that, myself as Mary Liz, I'm on all social media platforms, be it LinkedIn, Facebook,
What's your
Instagram. I use Mary Liz Bwiwa everywhere except on Twitter, where I use at Queerly So.
MaryLizebubwa.
Yes.
Find her. She'll support you. she'll help you get the help that you're looking for. Okay, Helen Medora.
I would just look at the available support that has been there for a long time. The Nairobi Women Hospital has, over the years, developed into the Gender Violence Recovery Center, and I think that's a good place to start for anybody who feels you've been violated and you need to get support. And also the government line 1195.
The government line is 1195.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to let you give your parting words so that we can end it on a note of encouragement and hope. So I'm going to start, of course, moving backwards. Helen, your parting words.
My parting words will be, we need to speak out. Speak out, speak out, speak out. Anytime you feel that you're violated, you need to call out that behavior.
Yes.
So at the workplace, that's the only way we can start to address this thing. Speak out.
And remember, it is not consent if there is no choice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? It is not consent if there is no choice. You can always ask somebody, are you okay with me communicating with you in this manner?
Yes.
Are you okay with me highlighting my affection for you? And record it. All right. Mary Liz, your parting words.
I think for me, my parting words is take a moment and learn about Convention C190. It really highlights how your importance is as a Kenyan who contributes as a taxpayer, but also in your area of work. Pay attention, read about it, reach out, go to websites, reach out to individuals that are here in the studio, but also different people who you think can provide that information. Learn as much as you can about it, because even if we ratify the convention today, if you do not know the tools you have as aid for you, then it's all in vain, because then we'll have a convention that protects you versus a person who doesn't know if there's protection. Yes. So learn about the convention, learn about the things that you can be able to do through the convention, learn how you can engage your government, because your government is your chief in your area, your government is your MCA, your government is your women rep. Learn how you can be able to use the convention to oblige them to come up with policies that protect you, even when you're working in someone's home, even when you're roasting maize on the roadside.
Those are not last words. Those were last.
Even when you're riding a boda.
I get it.
Take
I get it.
initiative.
Thank you, Mary Liz. Thank you, Mary Liz. Rose?
Gender-based violence and sexual harassment is real in our workplaces. Wherever you are, I want you to speak out against gender-based violence and sexual harassment. And above all, let us all campaign for ratification of Convention 190 and its recommendation 206. It can change the world.
Thank you. Finally, Ongaya, your parting words.
I'd say familiarize yourself with your workplace and get to know if there are policies in place and structures in place. If they are not, point it out and ensure that these have been implemented. And just to echo what all my colleagues have been saying, we must ensure that we ratify ILO C190 so that we have safe spaces when it comes to work.
It has been my absolute pleasure to host you women today, and I wish you an amazing weekend.
Thank you.